Hi, Vivian here. I am coming to you because I have been working on my own garden plot, which is the first time for me in attempting to grow food for myself and my daughter. I've been really fortunate in being able to work with the Urban Farm, which is right up the road from us, and taking a gardening class from a wonderful woman named Evelyn Elton, who has almost completed her Master Gardener program with CSU. Yay! So here's a couple of tips that she has shared with me. First thing we're going to go into is using a coffee filter to help sprout seeds and determine which seeds are viable. So just regular old coffee filters that I use in my kitchen for making myself coffee every morning. Spread it out flat. And on the outside, I'm going to write with a ballpoint pen, not a marker, that this is tomato. And it is a bush tomato called Ace. And I'm also going to put the date that I have started this. So we lay that out flat and gather some of our seeds, which the tomato seeds come inside an even smaller packet. Oh shoot, these might be empty already. Well, maybe I'm not doing bush tomatoes. Let's try another one, shall we? We'll do some more kale. There you go, you can hear the seeds this time. So I have resealed this with some tape. A couple of things that I've learned with my first try of this process is you want to make sure that the seeds are separated out and they're only on one half of the filter. So I'm just going to pour some out here. And they're very tiny little seeds. So I'm going to go ahead and start by spraying the filter with some water to make it a little stickier, make it lay a little bit flatter, and make it more possible for me to separate out the seeds. The reason I'm separating out the seeds is with my first batch, what happened is they started sprouting and tangling in with each other. It's another reason to keep a date on the filter when you start this project, because that way you know how long the seeds have been on the filter. It took me 7 days to take them from seed to viable sprouts and put them in soil. So you have to really keep track of them, because if they're good seeds, they're ready to go. Ideally, a package of seeds that are good should give you about an 80% yield, which means that 80% of these seeds should sprout. What this process allows us to do is to avoid planting any seeds that aren't going to sprout at all. So again, just going to spray it a little bit more and fold it over in half. And what I did to help keep it from drying out, because otherwise you have to spray them every few hours because of evaporation, I have taken an old rotisserie chicken container and I just lay them flat in here. And when I have multiple filters, I layer them on top of each other. And then I just seal it up with the lid. And that allows it to keep the moisture inside. They don't need to be hot when you're first sprouting them. They just need to be moist and actually dark, because that's where a seed would normally grow, right, is in the dark. So that's where the layering of the filters actually comes into benefit. The seeds that I have had sprout, what I would normally do is use egg cartons as individual spots for putting the sprouted seeds. This is really drying out quickly, and I need to put some plastic wrap, I think, over the top of it to help keep it moist. It's the reason that these guys are so good is because they have the lids already on them, so they're like a natural little greenhouse, and that way you're also protecting anything underneath from getting wet and damaged. So this one right here, I wrote on it purple basil and zinnias. So half of this is zinnias and half of this is purple basil. Miss Evelyn also taught me how to make these seed cups out of newspaper, which is really simple. You can even see, can you see it? This little plant right here. Yay, that's kale. Here comes my produce. Very excited. So as you can see, I've been saving plastic containers from eating out and from solid containers from the store so that I could have these available for doing this now. I've also been saving the newspaper ads from the grocery stores. They are, you need to use paper that's not glossy, so it will break down fairly easily when you put it in the ground. And the idea is you need to have about a half an inch worth of overlap so that you can fold it up on the bottom when you're done rolling. So you use your can as a measure and just cut a strip. I have 2 layers here. I believe Evelyn told us to use 3, but I found that the 3 layers was difficult for me to get it to fold and hold its form on the bottom. It got a little bit too stiff for folding for me. And again, this is all, this is all however works best for you. So this is just one ad that has 2 sheets to it. And again, we're going to start it so that we have about an inch of overlap here. And we just roll it up. You can use stick glue. Thank goodness I have a 5-year-old who is into making lots and lots of stuff. So I have glue on hand. I'm just going to glue both parts so that it seals down. Right. Then when we turn it over, I'm going to push one side down, push the next side down, do 4 sides. And we can do the same thing and use the glue. Push them down, make that flat. Slide the can out so you can make another one, and then you can cut off the tips to make it sit a little bit flatter. Now, this is perfect for using it to fill with soil and put your seeds that have started on the filter in the soil here to allow them to grow. Evelyn likes these better because there's more depth to them, so there's more room for the roots to grow. As you can see, though, I got lazy and I got in a hurry and just started filling these salad or these to-go containers with soil and using a marker to put holes in and drop the seeds in that have started sprouting that way. And then I covered them again with some more soil. You don't want to pat down too hard because you want the soil to have room in it for oxygenation as well as for water. Not too much water. You don't want it to be sloppy wet. Sloppy wet soil, if you start working with it, when it's soaking wet, it turns into hard rock, and then there's nothing that's going to want to grow as far as vegetation for produce. So I made my soil. This is a non-soil soil. It's a starter mix I made. Again, my lovely teacher Evelyn taught us to use peat moss, some sphagnum peat moss, which I got this at Home Depot. And most of your mix is about 60-65% peat moss, perlite, and I did then a 20% perlite and 20% vermiculite. I don't have a bag of vermiculite because the Home Depot only has a ginormous bag of vermiculite. The peat moss and the perlite cost about $5 a bag, whereas the vermiculite was a very large bag and it was about $25. So I borrowed some vermiculite from Evelyn. I did buy a bucket and fill the bucket with my mix and mixed it by hand. I reached at the bottom, grabbed what was at the bottom and pulled it up and just continued that process until I felt like it was really well mixed. I don't know if you can see that very well in there. Nice. And then I used my sink wand to fill it with water, make sure that all of the peat moss was saturated but not soggy, and again mixed it by hand. So the next thing I'll do is wait for these guys that are in soil to sprout and start plotting out my garden to see where I'm going to put what, according to what needs more light and what needs less light, as well as what grows first thing in the summer, what grows last thing in the summer, what grows later in the fall. There are ways that you can do succession gardening so that you grow one thing on top that comes in sooner than the things that are underneath that are coming in later. So I will do some more videos on that. I hope this information is helpful to you guys. I know it's a little bit long, but happy gardening. Here's to homegrown organic fruits and vegetables. Yay. Bye.